All right. So in the last video, you learned how to do DIC. Powerful framework. You're going to use it quite a bit, right? There's another format that's extremely useful for short form copy, and that's the PAS framework. Now, this one's really cool. The subtitle I put here is Get Them to Move with Short Form Copy. And that's because PAS is really good for inspiring action, right? This is about triggering massive emotional motivation to take action, right? And it's typically used. So DIC is used when you're talking to someone about a new idea, or you're talking to someone who's not familiar with your products, to build a lot of curiosity. Once they've already discovered the answer, it's kind of hard to get them to go look at a page because of curiosity, because they kind of know the answer already. But what this does is it magnifies the emotion that they feel and motivates them to go potentially take action, right? There's three elements. There's the pain or desire, there's the amplify section, and there's the solution section. Now, pain, desire, you can use either one. You can either be positive or negative for this. You can either talk about problems and amplify their pain and problems that they feel and get it to where it's like that horse example I used before, right? For motivations, like you're driving the horse forward with a stick, or you can increase the desire. That's like dangling the carrot in front of the horse, right? And you can make the carrot really, really, really good looking, right? So you can either go with pain or you can go with desire. Sometimes you kind of blend both, but you want to amplify their emotions around those things. So then when you present the solution, they're likely to take step forward to act, right? So let's talk about the pain and desire section. Now, this is where you catch their attention. Again, you still have to disrupt and catch their attention. They're on some platform. You need to get their attention. That's the first battle you always have to win. And then you're going to tap into a major pain or desire they're experiencing, right? Now, remember, you don't create desire or pain, right? Like you're not trying to convince anybody to feel pain about something. You're not trying to convince somebody to care about something. You're taking people who already care about something, who already feel a little bit of pain in their life, they feel a little bit of desire, and you're going to amplify it, right? You don't create it, you amplify it, right? So you're going to pick one that already exists. Pick one of their biggest pain or desire buttons, right? The thing that if you like push that button, it'll make them act, right? It'll uh, make them take action, and that's going to be the focus of your copy. Once you've done that, then you're going to amplify that emotion. So most people have found ways to comfort themselves. Like humans are way into like self-soothing, like people that touch their face, like when they're in a conversation, that's usually to soothe themselves. There's a bunch of ways that humans we minimize the emotional intensity of our pain and desire because it's easier than changing, right? It's usually easier to tune down that pain or tune down that desire than actually put in the work to fulfill that desire or fix that pain, right? So humans are tricky like that. So for you, if you're trying to get someone to take action, you have to stoke the flames of their existing pains or desire until it propels them to move, right? So a lot of times people don't cross over the threshold of action because their emotions are too low, right? So what you do is you amplify their emotions and you get them to take action, right? And you do this, and when I say this, you amplify emotion with sensory experience, future pacing, and elevating the emotion. Let's talk about sensory experiences, right? So emotions come as a result of experiences, right? We get information comes in through our senses, and it triggers an effect inside of our body and our minds, right? That subconscious mind, like we talked about in the creativity modules, right? So if you can get the reader to play a movie in their mind, you can trigger a corresponding emotion, right? Um, and you use sensory information to construct that movie. You make it vivid and compelling. You use sight, smell, sound, taste, and feel, and it will trigger that emotion. Let me give you an example right now. You can all probably think of a meal you really like to eat, like maybe your mother or someone you know makes a specific meal, and you can imagine what it smells like. You can imagine what it looks like to sit down and do that. Now, as you do that, and you picture what it looks like, you think about what it feels like to sit down at the table to eat this thing. Think about the sounds of someone's voice as they're doing this. You think of the taste, the smell. As you think about this, it's going to trigger certain emotions inside of your mind, right? This is just one example, right? You don't have to use all five of the emotions, right? But the more of them you can mix in, the more vivid and powerful it can be, right? So you can use this type of sensory information around the experiences that make them feel that pain or that desire to amplify the feeling of it. And the more vivid and compelling you make your movie in their brain, the more it'll drive them to act, right? The other one is something called future pacing. Now, this is a term. Basically, what you do is you give the reader a taste of what the future would be like if they either resolve the pain or fulfill their desire, right? So let me kind of give you an example of this. It's like you're kind of giving them a preview into the future, right? Let's say they've got a problem with fat loss, for example. That's like the classic example for this program, right? If they have a lot of like, let's say we're talking to Amy, she has a problem with weight. And we can amplify the pain that she feels now, but we can also sort of give her a taste of what would happen if she never solves the problem. You know, hey, continue to gain weight, you'll be a lonely lady with cats, you'll die alone, overweight, get diabetes, blah, blah, blah. You can future pace and you can use sensory information to make that future seem really terrible, right? And that's an important way to get her to take action. You're helping them understand the true cost of inaction by helping them understand the pain that they might experience in the future if they don't solve their problem. But you can also talk about what their life might be like once they fulfill that desire. I tend to go that way. I like to go positive when possible. But you give them a little taste of what it's like if they actually got to live their dream life. So you get to tell them, you know, you skip into the future and paint a little movie of them, you know, in this case, Amy, happy with her husband, with her, like, you know, confidence and her smile and the way she looks and blah, blah, blah. You can do all these things, right, to give her a taste of how good it would feel, and it amplifies her desire to move forward because you're showing them the true benefit of what they get if they take action, right? The other thing you can do is you can elevate the emotion. Now, you should remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which we talked about in a previous video, and we're understanding people and their motivations. Most people, one of the ways they diminish the pain and desire in order to not take action is they push those pains and desires down the pyramid, right? So they ignore those top ones and they make their problems, they only really pay attention to how they connect to those lower order needs, right? If you can show them how a problem or desire is actually connected to higher order needs, you can amplify the magnitude of their compulsion to act and change it, right? Status is one of the easiest ones. One of the most effective ways to magnify pain or desire is to show them how their situation or their dream affects their status in the eyes of others they care about, right? If you do that, you can instantly magnify the emotion. And you can do that with a lot of different things, right? You can take problems and show them how it connects to bigger and higher order problems, or you can show them the desire that they want and you connect it to those bigger and more important things. And as you do so, it just magnifies the desire. You can do all of these things, right? You can use sensory information for future pacing and amplifying the emotion to really get someone to be in a state of heightened motivation, right? And then you present the solution. Now you give them, you direct them to take an action to resolve their heightened state of emotions, right? Again, you keep the CTA really similar to CTAs using DIC copy, you know, just one simple line. There's a few additional levers you can pull though in a PAS email to increase the reader's compulsion to take action now versus later. And the first one is urgency, right? If the reader believes there's a limited time to take advantage of this opportunity, like if there's a date where you can't buy this anymore, or they're going to die at some point if they don't do it, like there's a whole bunch of ways to play with time. But if you make it seem like there's not a lot of time to take advantage of it and they should take advantage of it now, that's urgency. That amplifies the pain, right? Because it's magnified by the time available. And there's scarcity, right? For example, and this is more about like the quantity of opportunities to fix this, or the quantity of the product, or the availability of the solution is limited, right? That amplifies the pain or desire. Let's say you're on a boat that's sinking, right? And there's these lifeboats, right? And there's only 2 seats left and there's 20 of you, right? Your desire to get those 2 things is amplified because you know it's a competition. There's a chance you might not get it because the quantity is low, right? It amplifies your desire to get on that boat. But just like we could kind of use the same example for urgency, right? It's like, hey, the boat's sinking and it's going to sink in 5 minutes if I don't get on a boat, or it's going to sink in 30 seconds if I don't get on a boat. Your desire, the speed at which you move toward that boat would be a lot faster than if you had like 4 hours, right? So urgency is about time. Scarcity is about quantity, right? But you can also amplify that emotion by cranking one last time on the dial of their pain or desire to get them over the edge and to click the link, right? You hit that emotion, that pain button, you hit that desire button one more time right at the end as you provide the solution, which is usually a link to go review a sales page or complete some sort of action. You crank that emotion one last time after you presented it to get them over the edge to click, right? So let's take a look at some of the examples of PAS copy that we have, right? So we looked at the DIC copy. Let's look at the PAS example. And I've only showed an email here because you already know how to transpose this across different forms of copy. And, you know, so frankly, you just need to see the email and you'll understand how it works. So subject line. This is an email I wrote a couple of days ago for the student list. How to actually feel powerful, subject line, right? That's that desire to feel powerful. The pain, the desire, this first part, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you honestly see staring back at you? Is it a man with a body of rippling muscle, strong frame, and eyes burning with the fire of indomitable will? This vivid imagery, right? And then we're going to kind of move into this amplification part. Someone that women obsess over and men would follow screaming into battle. That's status, like from men and from women. Or do you see a flabby, scared, empty shell of a man, invisible to women and laughed at by the other men? I've kind of included the fear or the pain here as well. And then I've amplified the pain one more time where I say, here's the kicker. Can you even look at yourself in the eye in the mirror without turning away in gut-wrenching shame, right? So I've kind of given a little movie that they can play out. Even if they're not getting up and actually looking in the mirror, they're experiencing this. They're pretending in their minds as if they're looking away in shame of themselves, right? And then now we move to the solution, right? If you're tired of feeling weak and are ready to do what it takes to become a man of true personal power, then click here to begin your mental evolution and become a new man, right? And that's the solution, right? Simple PS. Problem, amplified using imagery, using status, using higher order emotions, and then offering a solution. PS is really simple, but it can heighten the emotions and get people to take action when they haven't done it for some whatever reason, right? You're going to get a lot of sales. A lot of people are going to go from the DIC. You can just go buy right away. PS is how you capture people who went there, but just need a little extra push to get over the edge. You're going to use PS quite a bit as a copywriter. It's a powerful, powerful framework. And you're going to use these elements in all sorts of other types of copy as well. So get really good at the PAS formula.